What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Matthew Walker, aka the Greensboro Kid. How y'all doing today, man? Listen, hope y'all doing well, staying healthy, staying great, all that good stuff, man. Listen, today we're gonna react to he was the next Wilt Chamberlain, but miserably failed. You know what I'm saying? This is recommended in the comment section, and this is made by Treese. So yeah, man. Said how he failed. I really wonder how. So without further ado, it's gonna be 10 minutes long. So you got snacks, you got drinks. Go ahead and grab that right quick, man. Cause it's gonna get a minute, man. But yeah, without further ado, it's gonna be, man. If you're new to the channel, by the way, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also like the video if you mess with it, and comment down below for any more recommendations you may have for me. And if it's lit, I will react to it. But yeah, without further ado, it's gonna fit in 3, 2, 1. Let's get it, man.
Most people think about what the NBA looked like back in the 1960s. They usually think about a bunch of short white dudes messing around and chucking up hook shots, getting dominated.
Yeah, they called them ice cream truck
that was
drivers.
Wilt Chamberlain. However, these people are totally incorrect.
Yeah,
there were monsters back in the 60s that gave Wilt Chamberlain a very hard time.
Yeah.
One of these players was Reggie Harding. Now, most people have absolutely no idea who Reggie Harding is, and to be honest, that's probably a good thing. Not only because of how scary and horrifying his story was, but because it saves the reputation of the NBA. Reggie Harding was a 7-foot beast of a man, who was one of the several big men that Wilt Chamberlain had to face off against. He lived a very hard life, from childhood to his death. Yes, he was actually killed in a shooting when he was just 30 years old, still in his basketball prime. Throughout the video, I will track his life from the very start to the very end, including every single last detail that made Reggie Harding the horrifying man that he was. Now guys, this story is something that the NBA does not want you to know. It is scary, it is sad, and it is very possible that after watching this video, the way you think about the NBA will change forever. And there are a few topics throughout the video that I can't say out loud or my video will get demonetized. So whenever I say the word blank, look at the screen and I will put in text what word I am referencing. Again, this story is very devastating, and now let's get right into it. Detroit Eastern High is a high school that won 3 straight public school city championships from 1959 to 1961, and this was because of one man-child, Reggie Harding, the 7-footer who won all city honors in all 3 of those years, being one of the greatest players not only in his city, but in the country, as in his senior year he would average 31.3 points, 25 rebounds, 8 assists, and 10 blocks, almost a quadruple double, solidifying himself as a future NBA star. Seriously, these numbers are unheard of. Not only was Harding popular on the court, he was also popular off of it, the most popular kid in his high school due to his basketball success and his massive stature. Now, Harding would also use his stature in other ways, as he was known to bully smaller kids in his high school and he would be sent multiple times to court for breaking the law. We'll get to that later. As a kid, Reggie Harding was forced to adoption immediately when he was born in 1942, as his mother was unable to take care of him. His foster parents became concerned with all the trouble that he would get into and sent him to a cherry picking farm in Cadillac, Michigan. Being the only kid of color on the farm, Harding would often get bullied for his height and his race. So Harding had none of it. He stole the farmer's truck and headed back home to Detroit. This was where one of the first incidences that I mentioned earlier happened. During one of his track events in high school, Harding would have blank with a 15-year-old girl while he was 18. He was charged with statutory blank, but he said that the blank was consensual and all the charges were acquitted. That same year, Harding gave Florence Ballard a ride home, who was a star for the Supremes, a very popular singing group. She was on her way home from a party and Harding offered her a ride. And since she knew who he was because of his popularity, she accepted. Harding would take her to an empty lot and blank her at knife point. The singer would go into depression for weeks,
Dang.
but this was just another thing that Harding would get away with.
Dang.
Harding would often try to rob gas stations with a gun, and once when he was recognized by an employee, Harding would just deny it was him and point his gun at him and demand the money. Can we just go off track for a second? Imagine trying to rob a gas station at 7 feet and 250 pounds. Like, I think people know who you are. Anyways, Harding
Pretty
would
much.
graduate high school apparently being illiterate. He only passed high school because he was a great basketball player. Harding would attend a prep school in 1962 at the age of 20 and played semi-pro basketball in the Midwest Professional Basketball League in the next year. He would be drafted in 1962 in the NBA draft in the 4th round, making him the very first NBA player to be drafted right out of high school. And again the next year in the 1963 NBA draft. In his first year in the league, he would average 11.4 points and 10.5 rebounds. During his time in the NBA, Harding would do so many questionable things. For one, he was known to carry a pistol in his gym bag, and when he was playing for his hometown team, the Detroit Pistons, his gun cases and assault charges would stack up. Like, if you thought Gilbert Arenas was bad for bringing a gun to practice one time, then you are in for a treat here. Right after games and practices, Harding could be found at the local club, and he even went there before games. When Harding was traded to the Indiana Pacers because the Pistons were fed up with him, Harding would not conform to the dress code, he would miss practices, lie about it, and he even pulled a gun on his teammate Jimmy Rail because he thought that he was a racist. The final straw was when he would threaten to kill the Pacers general manager Mike Storey while being on a television interview. Reggie Harding also one time pointed a gun at his teammate Terry DeShinger's feet just to make him dance. And when he would play 1v1 in practice with the teammate Flynn Robinson, when Flynn would beat him, he would pull a gun out on him and tell him to get out before he pistol whips him. With that said, the Pacers finally got rid of him. Harding was then put in Jackson State Prison for 2 years for violating his parole. After that, his life came full circle. He was back in Detroit, hanging out with old buddies, and word has it that he got into blank. But others say he was trying to become clean and get back to the NBA. However, one night, 5 years after he retired, being at the age of 30, Harding got into an argument with Carl Scott. Both were familiar with each other, living in the same neighborhood. Scott has also been known for serving jail time as well. The two got into a physical altercation, and when Scott slapped the much taller Harding, Harding would retaliate and slap him back much harder and did his typical thing where he would pick up Scott, holding him in the air in the corner of the neighborhood, embarrassing him as everybody watched. So Scott ran off, furious of the actions of Harding. And a little later, Harding was hanging out in the street with some girls, and Carl Scott would return, this time with a gun in his hand, pointing it high at Harding. So Harding told him, "If you do shoot me in the head. I don't want to feel no pain." Carl Scott did just that. He was rushed to the Detroit General Hospital, and he would live until the next day, where he was pronounced dead, as everybody watched the once basketball teenage prodigy die in the town that he grew up in. His funeral was held a week later, where hundreds of people stopped in to say their condolences, and there went the life of the NBA player who some say was going to be the next Wilt Chamberlain or Bill Russell. Now, let's take a quick look back at Reggie Harding's basketball career. Well, Harding played a total of 230 games in the NBA. He got to play with 3 different teams in his 5-year career, as it was cut short due to legal issues. He started out with his hometown team, the Detroit Pistons, then played with the Chicago Bulls for a half season. Then midway through the year joined the ABA, where he had his best stretch of games, averaging 13.4 points and 13.4 rebounds. It is sad to see that Harding never really progressed like he was supposed to, because just think about how dominant he would have been if he was able to keep his mind on basketball, and basketball only. He would have been known as one of the greatest big men of the 60s and early 70s, and maybe when we talk about the greatest big men of all time, we would hear the name Reggie Harding. The man who was supposed to become a star and was supposed to revolutionize basketball. It all goes back to the way that Harding was raised. As I was reading about him, a lot of articles just simply blamed it on the city he grew up in, Detroit. They said it was a bad environment with gang violence, and Harding fell subject to that. However, there could have been things to prevent it. The problem with people that grow up in dangerous areas is not the area itself, it's their come-up story. Harding never got to speak with either of his real parents, and was raised by foster parents who didn't trust him or take care of him and sent him away when things got bad. Harding was also bullied as a kid and had nobody to turn to when he needed it. He always felt out of place, and this is where I think all the violence came from, all the hatred that he faced as a kid, and nobody to look up to. And this is a reality for a lot of people right now. They don't have anybody to teach them what's wrong and what will help them succeed. I'm not trying to make any excuses for the disgusting actions that Harding made, but I'm sure that with the right guidance, it could have been avoided.
Yeah, I think so too.
Now, to the point that I made earlier in the video, the NBA has tried to keep this man's story as quiet as possible, as I was unable to find literally any footage on him. And the footage you have been watching is actually Wilt Chamberlain, in case you haven't noticed. I know that he played in a time where there wasn't too much footage, but there's certainly enough footage of every single other NBA player from that time. So that just shows that the league has tried to keep him and his story in silence, because what the man did and how he was able to play in the NBA despite doing so many horrible things is something that the NBA needs to be called out for. There is no excuses for letting a blank play in the NBA. Anyways guys, if you have anything to say in response to this video, then I will get to it. I respond to all comments. And we just passed 5K subscribers, so thank you all so much for that. And that IRL basketball video is coming very soon. With that said, try to be the person that makes somebody else's day that needs it, because it will make them feel a lot better and you as well. Alright guys, holla at your boy in the next one.
That's what's up, man. You know what I'm saying? Good vid, bro. Treese, good vid, bro. You know what I'm saying? Man, Reggie Harding. Yeah, that. You know what I'm saying? Bring the gun in the gym and like point at people, bro, and threatening. That's not cool, bro. You know, that ain't cool at all, man. But at the same time, I mean, these things don't happen for no reason, bro. Everything starts, everything starts on how you grow up. You know what I'm saying? You don't come out the womb just violent. You feel what I'm saying? You're just as innocent as any other baby, you know. But when you grow up, unfortunately, you have not the best influences on your life to where, you know, you kind of, I think like for Reggie, like him not having his parents, him not being looked after, him not having no one to look up to, and him being put around that, you know, toxic environment he was in, it literally just gave him the choice to choose life for himself, you know what I'm saying, on what he knows from what he doesn't. And, you know, I think he just stuck to what he knew, and obviously what he did wasn't good at all, because that's just not right, you know what I'm saying? But everything starts at home, you know. So if it's not handled at home, it's gonna be handled somewhere else. You feel what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I do feel bad for his childhood, you know. But again, I'm not saying that what he did is okay or what he did is an excuse. But that stuff do lead up to that, you know. So that was interesting. You know what I'm saying? Good vid again. But if you know what I'm saying? Hope y'all enjoyed. If you're new to the channel, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, so don't miss a beat. And yeah, man. Hope y'all stay well, stay healthy, stay blessed. Love you very much. And peace, man. I'm out.